Hey, it's Drew Bennett from BenSpark Family Adventures, and I am here with Casey O'Rourke, and I've just read Casey's book, Joyful Courage, and I wanted to talk to her more about the book and her creating the book and writing the book and where everything came from. So, Casey, could you just tell us all a little bit about yourself so that we can get to know you?
Yeah, sure. Hi everyone. I'm Casey, and I am a positive discipline trainer and parent coach, while also a parent, a mom of two kids. I have my son is nearly 14, and my daughter is 16, halfway to 17. And I'm in the throes of parenting. I've taught positive discipline for, gosh, 12 years, practiced it with my own kids. And before that was a school teacher, and have found just, even when you have the information and the knowledge, which to me, positive discipline was really the place that felt like the right fit for who I am and what I believe about human beings and human behavior. And even if you have it all, right, all the information, it's a whole nother ballgame when it comes to practicing in real time with your real humans. And so this book, yeah.
Yeah.
And what I've found in my practice, right, and in my work is that it isn't enough to know what to do, that it's really about how we be, how we are, how we show up in relationship. I feel like parenting, and I'm guessing that your subscribers will agree with me, is one long personal growth and development workshop. If you take the opportunity for that, like if you see it as that, and that's where my come from is just there's so much to learn about myself inside of these relationships with my kids. And the more that I can learn and the more that I can grow as a human, the side effect is that my relationships with my kids are really strong. They are living in an environment that's really supportive of them growing and developing into whole humans. And that's really what the book is about. The book isn't this is how you should parent. The book is more like this is one way to get it together so that you can parent in a way that you want to be parenting, whether it's using positive discipline or some other, program slash approach or philosophy. I think we all wake up in the morning and decide, I'm going to be better today. I'm not going to yell, or I'm going to be more mindful or more present, and then the day rolls out. And if we don't have a really active practice around how it feels to be present, how it feels to be, calm and collect and connected when it's hard,
Right.
right? When our
Right.
kids are doing what is typical developmental stuff, then those opportunities are going to show up and we're going to keep responding the way that we respond. So this book is all about creating a practice and supporting us parents in being who we want to be when it's hard.
Right. I read through. I read the whole book, and so I went through it, and like you said, it's not telling you how to do everything. It's giving you. I would say it's giving you tools to approach things in a more positive way with your kids, especially the part where you're talking about the breathe, body, balcony. Those
Mm-hmm.
three key things there. Uh, I personally I take martial arts, so they're always telling us to breathe, and that is like
Yeah.
the one thing I think I have some of the worst problem with that is remembering to breathe, and
Mm-hmm.
you know just kicking into action without really assessing the situation, and that's our fight or flight there, which yeah, I get it. So your kids now, you said 13 and 16. So
Yeah.
the book, let's see, your daughter was, I believe, 14 at the time. Is that of the
Mm-hmm.
book? Okay. And
Yeah.
so just getting into high school. So that's yeah. I'll be hitting that in two more 3 more years. My daughter's in 6th grade, and my son is in 2nd. So we've got, the 7-year-old and the 11-year-old, and they're soon to be 12 and 8 next 2 months. So we are hitting those teens.
And that's kind of the golden age, I think. Those ages, that school age time for a lot of us. We kind of find the rhythm, and even though there's always ups and downs, there's always pendulum swings, but there's something really special about those school age. And then they swing into the teen years. And like you mentioned, I wrote the book during my daughter's freshman year of high school, and it was the hardest year of parenting ever.
Sure.
I questioned all of what I knew to be true and believed in, and really bumped up against and learned over and over and over again that this whole journey, this whole experience of parenting, like, we're on parallel paths, and we really have, it's very little as far as control, especially when they get big, and and you're really thinking to yourself, like, how far am I willing to go right now? Right. When, especially when we slide into the kind of the more traditional threats and punishment, like, how far am I willing to take it? Like, am I willing to drag her to the car? Like, no way, and so it really had me, take a really solid look at fear and how fear was moving me, and deciding, like, okay, again and again, who do I want to be in this moment? Who does she need me to be in this moment? And some of the time I got it, it was useful. And some of the time, my fear and my emotion got the better of me, and I had mess to clean up after, which is also just part of the human experience. But teen years are no joke.
Yeah, well, you said that the transition to high school was probably your hardest year of parenting, and thinking about it, it's probably the hardest year for your daughter, because going from the middle school where I'm top of the class and everyone's there and everything's been safe and a lot of structure. And now we're in something completely different. I'm at the bottom of the barrel of in high school, and I got to find exactly where I fit in. I don't fit in the same way I did in grade school. So I think, and I'm only just thinking about that now when you said that. It's just like, oh yeah, that's going to be a really difficult time for my daughter, for my son when they get there. And while it's going to be difficult for me, they're experiencing something that, I think back to my high school years or your high school years, and you're like, that was some scary stuff, that freshman year. You don't know what exactly is happening. And
it's interesting too, because, I think some kids it's fine. Like I was actually fine. I loved high school. High school was my jam. I was involved in everything. I signed up for everything. I went to all the activities. That is not who my daughter is. Yep. And it's, and that's something for me where she continuously is stretching and growing me, is seeing that I have a very unique lens. We all do. And the fact that I was a teenager doesn't necessarily qualify me for knowing what she's going through.
Sure.
And that's a big one too. And I think us well-meaning, loving adults, our come from is often like, I know how you feel. And that is the last thing that's useful to say to our teenager.
Yeah, they don't want to hear that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And she really, but the cool thing was, because I was just able to stay really connected, she, at the end of the year, said, I'm not going to go back. I'm going to do online school. To which I was like, what are you even talking about? I don't know. What are you talking about? That's not a thing. Yeah. Turns out it was. And she really persevered. She was super committed. She was like, no, this is how it's going to be. Mm-hmm. And I have to hand it to her, because had she been wobbly, I would have been like, okay, come on. We're going to do what you do, which is go back to high school, which would have been a complete disaster for her. So she did a year of online school and found her feet and really explored who she was. And today that, we're recording on Wednesday, the 25th, she is actually up at the local community college doing a program up here in Washington called Running Start, where she's doing her last 2 years of high school at the community college. So
Oh,
she's
wow.
completely opted out of the high school experience
Mm-hmm.
and created something that works for her,
And
which is awesome.
it's really great that kids can do that now. Like they have that option of the online school. My cousins have done it for years, so I'm very familiar with that option. And you know, myself coming from that background of you're going to go to high school and you're going to go to college and that's the end
Yeah.
of it and that's it. And you didn't really have any other options, or I didn't even think of any other options. And it's great that your daughter has found her way, and to
Yeah.
be able to let go and be able to, all right, let her try this and see where it goes. That's got to be scary for you, and it's got to be scary for her. But it sounds like it's working really well. So.
Well, today's the first day. We'll see. We'll see
Well, she did
how
a
it
year
works.
of online school, and that was good,
She
right?
did.
Yeah.
She did.
And she's found
She did.
something to her, that she wants to do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I get to really lean in. And this is something, I think I talk about it in the book. Like, we can talk a big talk about meeting our kids where they're at and being really kid centered. And then, and it's easy to do when they kind of follow the traditional path. And it's something really different, because she also talks about not wanting to go to college, not wanting to do 4 years of college. And I come from a family where, above all else, education, education, education. Like there wasn't even a conversation. Plus, I was like, yeah, let's go. I want to go to college. That sounds like a good time. And recognizing for her, really, what's going to be the most useful is the tension of life experience, and that's really for her where motivation lies. Not in, well, my mom and my dad said I have to do this thing. It's really like, ooh, I can only do so much. And so I'm going to figure out what else I can do. Or I'm hoping, that she's in this program and she realizes like, wow, it feels really good to be learning, and she's a writer and, maybe like, I'm hoping that being in the environment will encourage her to want to pursue 2 more years, because after she's done with Running Start, she'll have her AA, which is awesome. But, and I get to let that go, right?
Yeah.
And I get to breath, body, balcony. I get
Yep.
to be in my most conscious place and trust that she wants to live a good life. And how she gets there is really her responsibility. And I'm here to love and support her, but I get to energetically hand over that responsibility to her.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So it sounds really interesting, and it's got to be at the same time you're letting go, but it's still like, because you've come from that background of school, got to go for education, but realizing now that like education isn't necessarily have to be directly in college, and
Totally.
there's so much that you can learn even just from like YouTube, that you can learn, and you can
For
learn to
real.
repair things. You can learn that this is the direction that you want to go, and to be able to have that option to go out and learn and explore and experiment to find what it is that works best for you.
Yeah.
It's something that I'm coming to now, where in high school it was, you got to do this, this, and this, and that's the way I did it.
Yep.
So I'm finding there's other ways. So, and I know my kids are going to show me many, many other ways that I'm going to go, wait a minute. And then my background will kick in and I'll have to, okay, just breathe, realize, and, the body, and then just take a look back over that,
Mm-hmm.
so,
Yeah.
but there's, a lot of good things there. So you have a website and a Facebook group, because I noticed there was a lot of I think I forget exactly what you called them in your I have the book right here. Let's see, your what do you call it? The bonfire circle. So it was
Yeah.
all like the mama this, all these different mamas. I'm like,
I know. Sorry
were,
about that. Sorry,
were there any
dads.
dads?
There were no
There
dads.
are no
And
dads.
not because I'm not like, hey,
Yeah.
dads, come on over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
there weren't any dads in that small pool, and there are a few dads that participate in some of my Facebook groups.
that's good.
I do one-on-one coaching, and I have a few couples that I work with, and
Hmm.
more in my live classes, dads are showing up. So that's
Good.
really exciting
Yeah.
too, because we talk about parenting, and really, I'm talking about personal growth. I just
Sure.
kind of lure them in with parenting.
Right.
And that's a really vulnerable place. And traditionally, that's not a space, that men are super excited to fill. But I think
Yeah.
what I'm seeing is more and more often that is becoming something that we as humans are recognizing as it's not a male or a female thing, it's a human thing. Like our
Right.
emotional experience isn't just for the ladies. It's
Sure.
for all of us to be fuller human beings. And if we can do that for our kids, we're going to be raising a generation that can actually fix all the situations that are currently alive.
Right. Yeah. No.
Nope.
I hope
Oh,
so. You want it to be better for them, and a lot of their kids are leading the way. As with being able to parent to what their needs are. And
yeah.
that's important. It's not parent to what our needs are; it's what their needs are. And
Yeah. Like, how about
so
we parent our kids in a way that they need less therapy?
yes,
you
yeah,
know, so that they don't have to undo all the messaging and I don't think we intentionally send messages that
sure,
are negative, but for us to get ever better at recognizing that, we are sending, like I send messages for sure. I mean, my daughter gives me lots of feedback. And I get to take the feedback and decide how I want to show up differently, what I need to own and take responsibility for. But I mean, like, how about we stop? How about we just support our kids and really hold space for them to be what they want instead of what we want them to be? I think that, like, lately, I've had a lot of conversations around who's writing the narrative for our kids. Are we letting our kids write their own narrative? Or, chances are we can say yes, but ultimately we have a narrative and it looks like, high school, college, fantastic career, marriage, family,
sure,
happy as can be, and that
right,
might not be what they want. And
yep,
so, yeah, so how do we hold space for them so they don't feel like choosing a different path is disappointing us,
right,
or
right,
or wrong or weird, or so
sure.
anyway.
No, I completely understand that. Yeah, especially coming from my own background. Like, oh, well, I can't do this because it's always been this way, and and I don't want my kids
Big
to
time.
feel that way. That they're getting encouraged. There's plenty that I have to undo for myself that I'm gonna try to undo from them from the influences that I had. So if I
Yeah,
try
well,
not just
I
try
think
not to
even
contribute to that too. So
yeah, and I think even just that you said that out loud, I think that, I don't know that our parents really recognized that there was anything to undo.
hmm,
I think our generation of parents, the people who are parenting kids at home right now, I think that there's a higher level of awareness that
oh,
they want to do things differently. And I think that's the first step, is simply like, there's a different way to do this. And then it becomes like, how can I help myself? And
definitely.
that's really what I hope my book does for people, is it's just, a resource for, this is one way that you can start helping yourself, right? This is one way.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something that I will. I've read it once, so I got to go back and reread it with fresh eyes, different take on it because gone through it. Um, but I was excited about it because of the whole calming the drama part of it, and realizing that it's not calming my child; it's myself that needs that
Gotcha.
needs that to be done. So yeah, so that was good, and I'm working on myself as much as I can, just knowing that I need to do that to help my kids. It's part of the reason I take some martial arts now. Is just trying to improve the person that I am, and discover things outside of my own comfort zone. So,
Awesome.
that sort of thing. But yeah, I appreciate you taking the time with us today to talk about this book, which I really enjoyed. Can you just tell us a little bit more about where people can find you? More about where can they get in touch with you and find you, and learn more about Joyful Courage? That's the name of your website. That's your community, right? That's the
Yeah,
and the name of the
that's the
book.
name of my
Okay.
business.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the name of my business. So if you go to joyfulcourage.com,
Mm-hmm.
that's where you'll find all my things. I have two groups on Facebook. One is called Live and Love with Joyful Courage, and the other one is called Joyful Courage for Parents of Teenagers, because parents of teenagers don't really want to hear from people who don't have teenagers.
You're right.
It's just like it's like when you have a baby and your friends who have no babies give you parenting advice. It's like, you just wait. Um, so I have those two groups.
Yeah.
I have a Facebook business page that's called Joyful Courage. I'm also on Instagram at joyful_courage. I do right now, I really focus on parents of teenagers. So I have a online 5-week program that I offer throughout the year. But my one-on-one coaching work is not just for parents of teenagers. So I work one-on-one with couples from kids, not super, super young kids. I tend to send parents of like toddlers and preschoolers off to other friends of mine that are doing the work. But school age, high school, and beyond, I am a certified life coach. So I work with people on all sorts of things. And there's the book. And I have a weekly podcast. So
Okay.
if you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or any of the places where you're listening to podcasts, you can just search for Joyful Courage and my show will pop up. And I publish solo shows bi-weekly and interview shows in the weeks between. And I just interview people that are inspiring to me, having conversations, like this week, my show was, I interviewed an astrologist who had looked at my birth chart and my family's birth charts and connected some dots. It was so interesting and just another lens, to think about relationship and what we're up against as far as being in flow as a family. So all different kinds of topics. My podcast I really, really love, and it's free and an easy resource. And of course the book, you can get the book on my website or just search for Joyful Courage on Amazon. It's also coming out as an audiobook soon. Like within the next 3 weeks, it should be available as an audiobook. So.
Oh, great. All right. Yeah, I do audiobooks all the time. That's like my thing now, is audiobooks. I have plenty of your links down below in the show notes so everybody can connect out to you and find out more about you. Casey, I really appreciate you taking the time, and this has been a lot of fun. Everyone, you can find me at Instagram and Twitter as BenSpark, Facebook.com/BenSpark Family Adventures, and you can find me here making videos all the time. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, Drew.